Slayton.
Hi, Squeezer.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Trying to figure out this manage participants. Let them all in, please. Why is this not working? That's see waiting room. That's what I want to do. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
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 Hi.
How's everybody doing?
It's
Hey.
going.
Good.
I miss you guys so much. It is not fun here without you. That is the truth.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wonder if it counts me as one of the participants.
It's a turtle. Oh, it's good.
Hello.
Hello. So, how's the schoolwork going?
A lot.
It's okay.
Rough.
So, what's rough?
There's just a lot of it and it takes forever.
Yeah, like there's stuff we're doing that like we didn't, not that we like didn't do, no, we did do before. So like it's, yeah, it's different. So. And it's taking like
It's
a
not that
lot
bad.
longer than it, I think.
Yeah.
And do you think that it's taking longer? One of the things that I found is so like my kids' scores are going down, and I think it's because they can't ask questions. Like I'm not right there to say, "Hey, explain to me what this word means," or what is this question looking for? And
Mhm.
I think that probably makes it take longer
Right.
and
A
harder,
little bit.
harder for you guys to get the right answers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Clarification on things.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
some teachers are assigning like more homework, I feel like, than they used to.
Okay. Well, that's something to let us know because it's supposed to be a half hour.
Nah.
Something to
It
let-
is not.
Sometimes it's hard from this end to gauge that, right? To gauge
Yeah.
what, I mean, I know, and I know in part because I do my lesson plans based on the year before. And so I can go, oh yeah, that lecture took 3 class periods, not 2 class periods. And so, and then of course our plan is always based off 45 minutes plus. So I think there's a learning curve to figure out how to get that into the right time frame. The only thing I can help you with though is Bible. So
Yeah.
are your Bible assignments within the half hour range? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
definitely.
reading is as well? And
Yep.
Yep.
I want to know.
Everything's good for that.
It is.
It seems to be too much, and I'm going to throw in more lessons that really have nothing to do with what we're studying. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you deal with what you're having to deal with,
Okay.
all of you. I got people in the waiting room because I think part. This is just sort of my my thought process. I think part of the problem is not work, it's the emotions that you're having to deal with, and emotions that you're at such a tender age to try and understand all of it and what happens if this happens. I'm going to be safe, and why can't I be with my friends, and that stress, that underlying stress, just kind of builds up and can make it harder to concentrate, to think, to stay on top of everything. So, yeah, I don't know about you, but I find myself working on something, then all of a sudden my brain is, thinking about kids safe. Is my son's a first responder. There's no quarantine. Going home to a wife and 3 young children. What happens if they get it? And so all of those thoughts are real. So I think, golly, we're past the time. You might notice that Josh Miller is not in your class, but he is with us because I totally spaced their class discussion. You already know that. So that I invited them to this class discussion, and then we're recording now. Don't say anything. So we're recording, and the recording will be available. I'm hoping to figure out how to put it on Teams. I know how to put it on YouTube. Vanya, what is that background? Because it is gorgeous, and you look beautiful right in front of it. Like you should have your senior pictures taken right there. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Screenshot.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Okay,
it's a tapestry I bought online.
It's what?
A tapestry I bought online on Amazon.
Ooh.
We were just saying how good Vanya looked in front of this background and stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna check and make sure everybody can hear me, even if they can't see me. So I know Vanya can, I know Daniel can, Slade, Catherine, Josh, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Obviously, because you just said Kristen, good to see you. Can you hear me and see me? See me is not important. Hear me is. Until I know can. William, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Bridget?
Hey, wee.
Okay. Malia? Malia, can you hear me? Oh, Malia, where is she?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Avery, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Bailey? Yes. Man, I can see you there. Wow, Bailey, you're on here twice. Did we get another Bailey in the junior class that I didn't know about?
I was on here twice.
I see you on the screen, and then there's one that's okay. Now it went away.
Yeah, it glitched me out. So.
Okay, oh well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Paige, can you hear me?
Yes.
Is Abby with you?
Yeah, I'm here.
So we got Pajabi, right? Okay, excellent. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna start with some prayer. My 10th graders today asked for a DARB, so I'll give you a DARB, and then we're gonna discuss some of these questions. And I'm gonna let you ask questions of me about the reading if you have them. Okay? Let's pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for these students. It is emotional for me just to see their faces. Father, I pray that you would knock this virus in its tracks, not just so that we can be together and have class again, but Father, that so many who are ill can get well, and others that are not can stay well. And Father, I pray that you would use this virus this time to not only glorify yourself, but draw many to you. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Why doesn't a shrimp share his treasure? He's shellfish.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you. It's I think the DARBs are getting better play on Zoom than they do in live. Maybe we ought to keep doing this. So that's your Little Atheist book, and we are on page 89 of this chapter, and I have my Bible and my big atheist book right here next to me, so I can use that if I need to. Before looking at answers in this chapter, which I really didn't allow you to do, so sorry about that, but with some Old Testament prophecies that Jesus fulfilled as the Messiah. I don't know how your other teachers are working this. You can just, if I can see you, you can just do this. There's a hand raising thing if you want to answer, but somebody answer, please, because the discussion doesn't work very well if y'all are just going to sit there and look at me. So, you know one, Daniel, An Old Testament
Yeah,
prophecy?
there's the bone shall not be broken in Isaiah. There's that word, no bone in his body shall be harmed. That one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. What else?
Dang it, Daniel, you stole mine.
I got some more. I can keep going.
There's
at least 3
hundreds of
more.
them. There's all kinds of prophecies in the Old Testament. Next year, we'll talk about what the probability is that someone could fulfill 48 of those prophecies.
Oh, isn't it his clothes being fought over?
Yeah, that's a prophecy as well, that they would be, gambled for. What else?
Mhm.
Yeah, slave.
Isn't there one where it's like Mary would give birth to the Messiah?
Yeah, that the Messiah will be born of a virgin. That's
Oh
in
yeah.
Isaiah as well. Yeah. What else? Psalm 22, write that down. Psalm 22. Sometime today, go back and read that. The entire psalm is a prophecy of Jesus. In fact, it begins, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I believe, and you may remember this from last year, I believe that Jesus was saying that God had actually forsaken him on the cross, that he was pointing the people to Psalm 22, which is a psalm that begins with heartache and with feeling forsaken and ends in victory. And I think what Jesus was telling his followers was that looks bad, but trust me, this is going to turn out for victory. And rabbis often did just refer to a single verse or a couple of verses in order to bring to mind the entire thing. Just like if I said to you, he's just mostly dead. All of you now are on Princess Bride, and every single one of you should watch it tonight, right? It brings the whole movie.
Mostly dead.
Yeah, it brings the whole movie to mind. So, that's the entire thing is a prophecy of Christ. Zechariah 9 and 10 talk about Jesus, about Messiah coming to his temple. Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53 is another one to read, but a whole big portion of Isaiah 53 is all about Jesus. In fact, I'll go there. Isaiah 69:9, that Isaiah 69:9 is the coming to the temple. Zechariah 9 is something else, but it's there. I'm going to Isaiah. If you have your Bible and you want to go to it, I'm going to Isaiah 53.
Can you repeat that again?
Isaiah 53.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna begin at the beginning. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but you're gonna see Jesus in these words. Who has believed what he has heard from us? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up before God, in other words, like a young plant and like a root out of dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. And he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. On him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Hi, Clayton. It goes on and talks more about Christ in that. And then this is bothering me. I can't remember what Zechariah 9 is, so I'm going to that real fast. Zechariah 9 and 10. Say rejoice. Oh, this is Palm Sunday. This is the triumphal entry. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you, righteous and having salvation is he, on a colt, on the foal, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. So again, lots and lots and lots of of prophecies concerning Messiah, and Jesus fulfilled all of them. Before looking for answers in this chapter, list some direct claims of Jesus to be God. I think I've told you that my freshman year religion teacher said Jesus never claimed to be God. Everywhere Jesus claimed to be God. If you remember anything besides John 1 from last year, you remember John's thesis statement, John 20:31. These were written that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you might have life in his name. Everywhere Jesus was claiming to be God. So name some of them.
He says multiple times that he says the phrase "I am," and so that's one. I mean, he says that multiple times.
Right, yeah, and that's Yahweh, right? I am is Yahweh, and the most obvious places in John 8 when he's having this contentious discussion with the Pharisees, and then the last thing he says is, before Abraham was, I am, which is horrible grammar. Mrs. Dennis wouldn't let you get away with that. It's great theology, right? It's perfect theology. And they understood it. They understood what he was saying. He was saying before Abraham was, he was saying, I'm eternal. Therefore, I am God. And they picked up stones to stone him because they knew him. And later they say, he says, why are you wanting to stone me? For what sin? And they say, well, not for any sin. It's that you, being just a man, are claiming to be God. So everywhere Jesus claimed to be God. Any others that you can think of?
He claims to be like the shepherd, right?
Yeah, he's the true shepherd, the good shepherd. What else?
He's like the way, the truth, and the life.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And then he says, remember, I and the Father are one. If anybody else said that, you'd be like, ooh, I don't think so. So yeah, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. And then you remember this story, I love the story of the woman at the well. And he gets in this theological conversation with her. And she ends up saying, well, I know that when Messiah comes, he will show us all things. And Jesus says to her, I who speak to you am he, saying, I am Messiah. So lots of places Jesus claims to be God. We're going to skip number 3, and I don't want to take up too much of your time today. Although this is really fun for me because I haven't had a chance to talk technology with anyone in a long time. So, and my kids just roll their eyes at me. So, at least I'm having fun. So, what are the Dead Sea Scrolls, and how significant a discovery are they? So let's start with that first part. What are the Dead Sea Scrolls? Josh, what were you going to say?
It's the book of Isaiah.
The book of Isaiah is part of it.
Oh yeah.
It is among the Dead Sea Scrolls. Rachel?
Ancient Jewish religious manuscripts that were found in the, I'm not going to pronounce it right, but the Qumran caves.
Yeah, it's a community of Essenes. It was a community of Jews, but there are some New Testament writings among those scrolls as well. They're very ancient scrolls. Some of the most ancient scrolls that we have, the scroll of Isaiah, I think it is maybe a copy, not of Isaiah, but one of the New Testament scrolls might be a very early copy. So yeah, they are the oldest scrolls in existence, and some of them predate Christ. In other words, scrolls like Isaiah, those copies are older than Christ. Were made before Christ was born. Yes, Slade.
I actually have a question about those.
Yeah.
So I read on the internet that they had been found like false. Like historians found them to be false.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet. There's scholars upon scholars upon scholars that can verify that they're not false.
Okay.
They're for real. And some of them are fragments, right? So not all of them are entire books. Some of them are fragments. A lot of the copies that we have, not just the Dead Sea Scrolls, but a lot of them are fragments. Sorry. Sorry, Malia. Oh, we're connecting to our audio. Sorry, Malia, I didn't see it first. What are some of the characteristics and accomplishments of the suffering servant summarized by Larry Hellier in the book of Isaiah? And it's this going thing in Isaiah about the suffering servant. What are some of the things that that it says there? Yeah, Vanya?
God predestined him to his calling.
Okay, God predestined him to his calling. What else? Catherine?
His ministry extends to the Gentiles, not just Jews.
Yeah, even in the Old Testament, we see this salvation of the nations. Daniel?
He's a gifted teacher.
He was a gifted teacher. Joshua?
He's just.
Just. Bailey?
He experiences suffering and affliction.
Rachel?
Sort of go off Josh. Justice is a prime concern of his ministry.
Yeah. And that's at the heart of God, too. Yeah, Kristen?
Also mentioned how his ministry was a primary focus of his life. He didn't necessarily do much else other than ministry.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure sounds like Jesus, doesn't it? The whole thing. Yeah, good job on that. And this is obviously, these are prophecies of Christ written hundreds of years before he was even born. Yeah, it's definitely a picture of who Christ was. There's something else I was going to mention, but I can't think of what it was. Maybe I'll think of it. Give 3 reasons why the suffering servant in Isaiah 53 is not the nation Israel. Vanya?
The servant is sinless and Israel was not.
Right. Yeah, you've got this sinless servant, and just the existence of the sacrificial system proves that there would be no need for the sacrificial system if Israel was sinless. Sladen?
The servant is a lamb who submits without any resistance whatsoever.
Yeah, so the servant is a lamb that submits without any resistance. I once heard years ago, I can't remember which Israeli prime minister it was. It may have been the time Benjamin Netanyahu was the, there's a hilarious Dave Tonight Show top 10 of how to pronounce Benjamin Netanyahu's name. My favorite one was Baby, I'm a Want You. Anyway, old 70s song. So he said something like, Israel only bows on its knees to God, and then even sometimes not. I mean, there's a reason why God called Israel a stiff-necked people, right? That they were not submissive. They did resist pretty much everything. So yeah, the servant can't be Israel for that reason as well. And then what's the third one? Joshua?
The servant dies as a substitutionary atonement for the sins of others.
There's no way that the people of Israel could do that. You know, I read these prophecies and I think, how did they miss it? How did they miss that this was Messiah? That wasn't the Messiah they were looking for. They were looking for a political Messiah. They were looking for a political savior, not a spiritual savior. And even today, I remember when my Rabbi Brooks, who was the rabbi that I would have come speak to my class when I taught world religions at Millard North, he passed away a few years ago, and I loved him very much. He used to give us our tour of Temple Israel, but one of the questions that he was asked was, how do you know Jesus wasn't the Messiah? And he said, look out the window. And he said, is the world perfect? And they said, no. He said, well, that means Messiah hasn't come. I don't know how they can miss what's in the Old Testament and what the prophecies of Christ, but they do. And someday Jesus will make everything right, but that wasn't the purpose. They misunderstood the purpose of his original incarnation into our world. Now, do you have any questions about what you've read? Anything you want to discuss about what you've read thus far in chapter 13? Okay, so my plan going forward is, I believe that we will finish the book. I don't think, it's 15 chapters. We're on chapter 13. We've got, basically a quarter of the year left, minus a week. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. There may be some videos that I send to you to watch, but my plan is to slow it down and to give you some time to breathe, give you some time to process your new reality, your new normal, and then also try to give you some assignments that some may be turned in, some may not, some may be for extra credit, but that are designed to just feed into you spiritually. I just see this opportunity that I have as being different than what I've done for the last 4 years, but still an opportunity to be your Bible teacher, to be one that tries to feed you spiritually. And I want to do that well, but I want to do it in a way that doesn't stress you out. We don't need that.
I like it, Mr. User.
Teacher of the year.
I think one of your assignments was to go outside and get some fresh air. Do that. Do that. There's go outside.
Hooray, sunlight.
6 feet away from someone. And so just just to encourage you before we go, God wasn't surprised by this. God wasn't like, Corona what? I mean, he's in control. He is in control. And he knows what he's doing. And this will turn out for his good and for our good and his glory, because Scripture tells us that. So, don't be what is in Joshua 1, where Joshua is going to become the leader of the Israelites, and he doesn't really believe that he's ready for that. And God tells him like 5 times to be courageous. And I think Joshua might have been a little bit slow on the uptake there. So he says, be strong and courageous, do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Watched chapel this morning. Mr. Hood talked about that. We don't need to be afraid. God is here. God is the God that is near. Emmanuel, the name of Jesus, means God with us. And he still is. He's alive and he's still with us. So don't be afraid. Don't be worried. God's got this. And life will, I promise you. I remember feeling like life would never be the same again after 9/11. In fact, I had my hair cut the next day. And the first thing I said to my hairdresser, who's a very close friend, was, our world will never be the same. And in some ways, it's not. But in other ways, it is. And seek to see ways that God can work in your life for this, because I promise you, you will be able to have parties with your friends again. I promise you that you will be able to hold dances. I promise you that you will have life as we know it. I promise you that you will be in this classroom again at some point.
Yay.
I don't want you stressing out over that. It will become as it was. We will be changed, but life will go on. Okay? Don't be worried. Don't be stressed out.
Yeah.
Okay, my faceless wonders. Paige, Abby, William, Malia, Clayton, and Avery. Did you get all that?
Yep.
Okay. I'm looking at all the other ones, so I see them nodding. Yes. I don't know if you're sleeping or what. Okay, so we'll have more of these. We'll have more. I'd much rather do this than make a video and send it to you. I think don't you think this is more fun? So
Yes.
They will always
A little bit of social interaction.
Yeah. Starting your class period, okay? Because I don't want to If we do that, then we'll never overlap with someone else. So they'll always be during your class period. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I love all of you. I miss all of you. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't die.
And where do I go?
I'll try not to.
Don't go outside.